Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you. This episode brought to you by Hurst Construction and Fabrication. And with us today, head girls basketball coach Mica Estrada. And Mica, good to have you along as you're in the midst of preparing for a season that'll be here before we know it.
Yes, it's gone by really quick this last month.
Yeah, and practices, you've had those. Now you got some scrimmages going on. We're less than a month away from that first game, which we know is going to be at home against Muskogee now.
Yes.
But tell us how things are progressing under your first year as head coach.
They're progressing really well. All the girls are buying in, doing what we're asking them to do, working really hard. So it's exciting to actually go and play these other teams at scrimmages and just kind of keep that progression moving forward and always trying to take steps forward every day.
And how are those scrimmages going? What are you getting a good response so far from the girls?
Yes, yeah, definitely. We've changed some things around since we started because once you start playing other people, there's several things we've changed, but they're going really, really well. So we're getting a lot out of the girls.
You know, one thing with a first year head coach that often you talk about is you have the idea of things you want to do, but then you have certain personnel and certain things they do well and certain things maybe they don't. Talk about some of the things maybe going into the season that you thought you were going to do, but maybe after seeing your team play other people in these scrimmages, you changed a little bit.
So we thought we were going to do a lot of just go, 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 kind of get the ball outlet up fast, more fast paced. But after a couple scrimmages, we've decided we're going to slow things down. We tend to get going a little too fast if we just outlet and go. So now we're more concentrating on defense, outletting, still getting down the floor, but then kind of slowing it down to run an offense and being just very disciplined and patient as far as our offense goes.
Yeah, so maybe more of a half court type
Yes,
thing,
yeah,
right? Which
yeah.
is something we've seen. And then defensively, part of if you run, you want to get defensive steals, get out there, and you still want to do that. But defensively, things pretty much the same there.
Yes, yeah, we're still playing. We're basically playing pretty much all man.
Okay.
But still, it's like that kind of packed in. We've been playing that matchup zone
Yeah.
the last few years, so it's still going to look. They're still going to be confused whether it's a man or a zone because we're going to pack it in a little bit, except for on shooters. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and you look at some of the personnel. We can go through, and I want to go through everybody that will be a key contributor coming up this season. But I think you kind of start with Kira. She's sort of the leader of this team, and talking to her and you, she started developing a little bit more of a shot.
Yes, she has. That's been really, really exciting. We're calling it kind of a game changer because everybody, if you've watched her, people kind of sink off because they know how fast she is, and she's got a really quick first step and will attack the basket. But now, if you sink off too much, it's kind of exciting to watch because she will shoot the ball. So that's been a really nice development.
Yeah, and you have a lot of other girls that contributed last year that are looking to elevate themselves this year as well.
Yes, Kadam Lively is a junior, and Peyton Miner they're both juniors. They've really, really stepped up this year and taken on roles and really done well for us. All of our sophomores that contributed last year, they're still just progressing and continuing to help us out quite a bit.
Yeah, and new. We know what you had, and some will elevate the role, but there's always new people that have come in, whether it be the freshmen moving up or maybe some move in or whatever it might be. Talk about some of the new faces that maybe I haven't got a chance to call before that you think will make an impact, and not necessarily in the starting lineup, but even off the bench.
So we have several, like those sophomores from last year, that are really making an impact. Jasmine Sadowski, she's really came on strong offensively, and she's been more of a scoring threat for us than maybe she was in the past. We've got Jenna Northcutt, Moshte Littlecook defensively is really, really strong. Allison Duncan. They're all girls that are just coming on really strong that we feel just we can bring in and still just continue strong as the game progresses.
All right, I think this will be a good question. You've seen a little bit now. What do you think's the strengths of your team this year?
Strength wise, so far defensively, really, I've been really impressed with their defense, how they have just continued to stay on track, doing the little things that they want to do, or that they're supposed to do. We are pretty athletic this year, I think. So just whenever they want to go, they are ready to go. They're all active. They're moving, and so many of these girls have been playing so long together that like our motion sets and things like that. I've been really excited. I think I used the word like I've used your word pretty basketball yesterday in practice like 8 or 9 times because it was just nice how the ball was moving and they were just feeding off of each other. So I'm at the point where I think that's a little bit of one of our strengths.
Okay, so there's the strength, and at this point of the year, you start playing other teams, you start finding out maybe what some of the weaknesses are. Now, you may not want to reveal too much, right? Because there may be somebody watching that's going to compete against you, but I mean, you'll trade film, they'll be able to see it, but what are some of the weaknesses that you got to strengthen up?
I mean, we got to work on a little bit of everything. In previous years, it's been kind of the same thing. Those layups, we're getting what we want, but then the finishes. So we've been working this week really, really hard on that. So and then blockouts.
How do you work on finishing? Like because that is something you're in a game and you know everybody wants to make the shot, but as a coach, it's frustrating because you get there and then just a little bit of contact and no foul call and you miss the shot and it's points off the board and maybe the team's going the other way. So how are you working on finishing at the rim?
Making sure every drill is full speed. A lot of times they get in a habit where it's a drill and they slow down, and it's so incredibly different when you're going full speed compared to just not quite there. And then we have Coach Monks and Coach Mercer. They're in there with the big dummy pads and hitting the girls as they're shooting layups to simulate contact, things like that. So, but mainly full speed. We say full speed on drills all constantly.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Next thing for you, you know, you've been a part of the program for a while, and you're first year head coach, first year going to districts. What do you think about the district setup and also postseason? It goes from the first game single elimination and now double elimination the whole way through. Mm-hmm. So until you get to the state tournament. So talk about the changes this year because it's a really big change for 6A basketball.
Yes, yeah, and I've been still trying to figure it all out because I've never played districts. So it's been tricky. I like our district, and I like our district that we'll play against once we move on. But yeah, as far as learning how it all goes and things like that, I'm working on that still a little bit.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have been in a conference with Putnam City Schools and Enid and others. You get rid of that because you only have so many games you can play, and you got 7 other district teams you're going to be playing against, so that eats up a lot. And as a coach, I guess you kind of have the opportunity either to maybe not play in a tournament and play 3 games like the boys did, or go get in those tournaments. And for the girls, you kind of elected we're going to go to the tournament route, I guess, right?
We decided we're going to go all 3 tournaments.
And that may have been one of the bigger decisions with this scheduling, right? Is how you wanted to kind of do that. Do you want to go try to find a home and home with somebody, or a 1 game and done and do something next year? But you kind of went into the tournament mode.
Yes, yeah. So we're staying in our same 3 that we were in last year. Tahlequah is our first one, and then we're going to Ada, and then finishing with Deer Creek. So all 3 pretty tough tournaments. But yes, we decided to go ahead and stay in those.
Yeah. Well, how are you enjoying it so far?
It's got its ups and downs, but I'm really enjoying it. The girls are a lot of fun. Some days are hard, but other days make it all worth it.
What's been the biggest change for you?
Just stepping up, going from assistant where I'm the go-to, like it's okay, we're going to be fine, to now having to find that other side where they can still come to me, but I've still got to be that like more, that bigger role where they can't quite always come and complain about all the stuff to me.
Now, are you getting to a point where you're also sitting in the office and like, wow, it's my decision. It's not just my input. I'm making the decision now.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, there's been a couple of times where I've kind of sit and wait, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to ask about this. And I'm like, wait, I'm the one that has to decide that, so I can just go ahead and make it. So, but that's been really strange. So I've gotten used to it now, but that was probably one of the biggest things that was strange.
Do you find yourself being an assistant like you were, though, that you're willing to maybe take the input of your assistants because that's what you did at one point, right?
Yes, yeah. I always, me and my assistant coaches, we always kind of talk about what we're going to do. Mondays, I kind of say, hey, what do you guys want to work on in practice this week? Just to kind of, because I can't think of it all. So it's nice to just be able to bounce ideas off, and we're all 3 work really good together, so it makes it really nice.
Well, I'm excited to get the season going, and once again, the first game with boys and girls, the boys are going to have a game before because as we talked about, they're doing the 3 games instead of the extra tournament. Girls and boys will both play together against Muskogee in, I think, December 1st, right? In Solons.
Yes,
or not Solons, I should say Robson.
Yes,
so,
Robson, yeah.
Yeah, so Robson, and that was a change. So you're actually going to have to travel to Muskogee on December 1st. They had some scheduling conflicts, but I kind of like starting both the boys and girls at home first and not having that long road trip.
Yes, yeah, and we're having a big opening night. DECA's got together and they're doing all the stuff that we did prior to COVID. So it's going to be a really big, fun opening night against Muskogee.
Yeah, so mark it down in your schedule, December 1st, the opening night against Muskogee. Anything else to add before we let you go?
I don't think so. I'm excited to show you guys what we've been working hard on, and we hope to see you all December 1st.
All right, well, thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, this has been your Coach's Corner, brought to you by Hearst Fabrication and Construction Day. Thanks to Chris behind the camera. Thanks to Mica as well. Jordan Woodruff saying so long. Until next time, go Cats.